How to start your macro photography journey. Looking through a macro lens opens the door to a fascinating world of tiny things. The exquisite hidden details are revealed through magnification, inviting you to explore their beauty. However, if your budget is not big enough for a macro lens, extension tubes are an economical way to start your macro photography journey. I love my students' reaction when they can see the difference a set of extension tube is making to macro images. What are extension tubes? An extension tube is nothing more than a hollow ring mounted between the camera and the lens. They increase the distance between the lens and the camera, shifting the focus area. Because of it, you can focus closer and achieve greater magnification. The tubes are compact and light and are capable of producing excellent results. They usually come in sets of 2 or 3 and often consist of rings of 12 mm, 20 mm, and 36 mm length. The wider the tube, the greater the level of magnification. You can also combine them to generate an even higher level of magnification. As I mentioned before, they don't have any optical elements, so they do not alter the lens image quality. They do, however, reduce the amount of light entering the camera. The higher the magnification, the more light will be lost. So, if you are shooting handheld, be prepared to increase ISO to compensate for it. There are 2 kinds of extension tubes, auto and manual. Thanks to the electronic contacts, auto extension tubes retain all the camera's metering and focusing connections, making them convenient and simple to use. Also, the aperture value placed on the camera is transferred to the lens, which is particularly important if the lens does not have an aperture ring. Manual versions are typically very cheap, but don't have any circuitry or mechanical coupling components. This means you will not have any essential automatic function of the camera. You can use these tubes in combination with any lenses. The magnification achieved using extension tubes varies depending on the tube's width and the lens focal length. For example, using a 50 mm extension tube in tandem with a 50 mm prime lens produces a magnification of 1:1. You will get maximum magnification when you combine extension tubes with a macro lens. To give you an idea, a macro lens that usually achieves a magnification of 1:1 will double that with a set of extension tubes. Disadvantages of using extension tubes. One drawback of using extension tubes is that they change the working distance of a lens. In some cases, the focusing plane is so short that it is impossible to get a reasonable working distance. You also won't be able to focus your lens to infinity. But because we are using extension tube for close-up and macro, this is not really an issue. The other side effect of extension tubes is that they can cause vignetting when used with lenses set at or close to their widest aperture. The amount of vignetting depends on the lens and the thickness of the tubes you are using. How to choose a set of extension tubes? When purchasing an extension tube set, ensure that you choose one that has a compatible mount with your camera brand, like a Nikon mount or Canon mount. Otherwise, you will be disappointed as you won't be able to connect the tubes to your camera and lens. I would also recommend auto extension tubes, as they are very easy and convenient to use in comparison with manual extension tubes. Their manufacture is of secondary importance. You will want one that feels steady, secure, and durable. Just be careful, as some extension tubes can be relatively poor quality. Let's look now at some examples. To demonstrate how these tubes work, I set up a test subject and photographed it with a few different lenses, both with and without extension tubes. Note that each time a new photo was taken, the flower was moved closer to the camera, as the focusing distance was alerted by the extension tubes. Here I am using my wide-angle lens at approximately 30 mm focal length. At that focal length, the minimum focusing distance is 30 cm. With a 12 mm tube, we are getting quite a good magnification. And the focusing distance is around 2 cm. Combining a 12 mm tubes with a 36 mm one gives us a quite impressive magnification. But the focusing distance is now approximately 5 mm, and the flower is almost touching the lens. As you can see, the main problem here is the physical proximity of the subject to the lens. So after purchasing the extension tubes, test them out on all your lenses to determine which one responds best to this kind of use. The next lens is 50mm prime lens. This lens has a minimum focus distance of 33 cm. The magnification with a 12 mm tube is pretty good, and the minimum focusing distance is around 15 cm. Combining 12 mm tube with 36 one produces a magnification of 1:1, and the minimum focusing distance is around 5 cm. So you are not as close to the subject as with 30 mm lens. In general, 50 mm prime lenses are great options for an extension tube. You will be able to photograph a variety of subjects, even some insects like spiders, snails, ladybugs, or praying mantis. And the last lens I use for this demonstration is an 85 mm Helios lens. This lens has around 60 cm focusing distance. 12 mm tube gives an excellent magnification with a minimum focusing distance of about 33 cm. Using this lens in tandem with 12 mm and 36 mm extension tubes produces a substantial magnification, and the minimum focusing distance is 17 cm. I like to use this lens to show the subject and its environment up close. Okay, that's all for this tutorial. If you find this video informative, give me a thumbs up. Any comments and questions are welcome below. I love hearing from you. Thank you for watching. Until the next video.